Hi, guys. Welcome to Real Food Recovery. We have a special guest today, and it is Braci Dutton, and I'm going to introduce her and read a little bio about her. We want to excuse Jamie. She is suffering from some storms and power outages in Houston, so we will miss her today. But first, before I say hi to Braci, I want to read a little bit about her. She is a wife, mother, and wellness educator who hit rock bottom with food addiction before finding lasting healing through clean living. For years, she felt trapped in cycles of binging, exhaustion, and shame, parenting from the couch and wondering why she couldn't just have more willpower. But everything changed when she became a mom and realized something deeper was going on. That's when she uncovered the truth. The food industry was designed to keep her addicted. Instead of staying stuck, Braci took her power back. She learned how to read labels, detox her pantry and her home, and begin rebuilding her health from the inside out. Today, she's dedicated her life and career to helping other women do the same through food, beauty, and lifestyle education rooted in truth, simplicity, and freedom. She believes women deserve to feel good again, not just in their bodies, but in their motherhood, their minds, and their everyday lives, which I can attest to. I started following Braci on social media and was immediately drawn into her and her work and what she was doing because it aligned so well with what we're doing at Real Food Recovery. And I really enjoy her parenting styles, which we'll get into that a little bit because I support her wholeheartedly, but not everybody does. And we can talk about that for a little bit and how she handles that so well. But first, let me say hi. How is it going for you today?
Hello, it's great. It's wonderful. Just another day, living the dream.
Yeah, really great to have you here. Is there anything else that you want to add on to that bio as far as like what was the specific point in your life where was there a light bulb moment or a defining moment that said, okay, there's got to be a change, something's got to give here?
Definitely. I'm already emotional. I think it's because I just started my menstrual cycle. But I definitely had a light bulb moment. I the last day that I had my last big binge, I will never forget that day. It was actually a whole weekend. And I had been eating really well for a while, and then I fell off, and it was one of the worst times. I was so sick. I was the sickest I had ever been from food. It was Mother's Day weekend 2020, and I just ate everything you can imagine. And it was one of those moments where I was stuck on the couch and stuck in the bathroom. I'm sorry if that's TMI, but that's a really
Yeah,
big part of my journey.
totally.
And I made a promise to myself in that moment that I would never be that sick from food ever again. And that was kind of my rock bottom with food. And I had time on my hands because it was 2020, the world was shut down. So I just went headfirst into, I know it was a God thing too, but I went headfirst into research, and that was the moment. And it kind of all just came after that.
That speaks to me so much because that is the lowest low after from sugar was my drug of choice, but and I would eat it till I was sick, and then you're sick mentally,
Yeah,
emotionally. I mean, it is just such a low place in your life. So I relate to that so much. And really, I think that is I don't know about you, but for me, that was the driver to not only get myself out of hell, but to pull others along with me, which motivated Jamie and I to start our podcast like this. And then we have a recovery community, and we just came out with a book, Real Food Recovery. If food isn't the answer, what's the question? But that dark place is so ugly because you can't live. It's you're taken out of life, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so what's your purpose if you're in the fetal position from eating too much? And the scary part is this is going to happen again unless I do something about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I had been there so many times, but
Mhm.
I was finally fed up, and I had left a really stressful job, and I think that helped me a lot. I mean, when people ask, how'd you do it? I have to be honest, I left a job that was sucking my soul, and I did a total lifestyle overhaul. I had to. So,
That's interesting that you say that because I don't know if you've heard these statistics that 33, 33, 33, where people with addiction, 33% of people give it up. That's it. They never go back. The
mhm,
next group of 33, they go on, off, like I'm trying, I'll have a binge. I'm trying to have a binge, whatever your drug of choice is. And then the
mhm.
last 33 can never give it up and they will end up eventually dying from whatever the substance is. So,
Okay.
what did your journey look like? Where did you fall in those groups? Was it that's it, today's it, and I'm never going to have another binge again? My life is going to be perfect. Do you want to talk about that journey and what the
Sure.
reality of recovering looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with food, I feel like it's a whole other ball game. I'm not
Mhm.
discounting other addictions. I've honestly had other struggles with other substances. Food has been the hardest because you can't escape it. I mean, it's everywhere all the
Right.
time. You have to eat it to live. You don't have to drink alcohol, I mean, sometimes you do, but you know what I
Mhm.
mean, like daily necessities. And I will say that I did go on and off for sure, but that was before I had ever heard the term food addiction. Once I heard the term food addiction, it that was actually my
Game
biggest light
changer.
bulb of
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what I've been experiencing. No wonder this is so hard. I'm literally addicted. And I had never seen it that way. And I've also had never heard a medical professional say it that way. It was actually
Yeah.
Dr. Mark Hyman who I
Yeah.
heard it from the first time.
Mhm.
Um, so no, I have not been perfect because there's been times when I've been stressed and I've like been like, F it, I'm gonna go get a bag of chips and I eat too many. But I have never eaten how I ate before, like that weekend I told you about, Mother's Day weekend 2020. I've never gone back to anything like that.
Mhm.
So yes, I have binged, but again, but never to the level that I had. Like I will never go eat McDonald's, and that was like my number one drug of choice. I have not had McDonald's in 5 years. Maybe once on a road trip, like because there was nothing else and it was like midnight, but I did not want it.
Mhm.
And I had a couple bites and it was disgusting, which is crazy because that was my like kryptonite. So I don't know. I feel like it's foggy with food. I totally understand
Yeah.
what you're saying with those, but I'd say I'm in the middle of never again and then like going back and forth because I still have my struggles, but never to the extreme that I was.
Yeah. So that's progress, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
we work with so many people in our food addiction community that we're wired to the negative. So it's easy to see where our pitfalls are. Like, oh, I had that McDonald's that one night at midnight, instead of just focusing on the positive and looking at what all we did right. So that is a good point that you bring up about, yes, I had a couple of side steps, but overall, I mean, to say 5 years I've not had McDonald's, that's pretty impressive if that was your drug of choice, especially. And I love the other point that you made about discovering the term food addiction. So that's a controversial topic in and of itself because some people shy away from that word food addiction because it thinks it invites shame. And so some people prefer ultra processed food use disorder. It doesn't matter to me because the treatment is the same. So we can spend all day arguing about is it or isn't it. I'm here to tell you it is a real thing. And my brain, when I have sugar, behaves as if I'm addicted.
Yeah.
It's a situation where I don't remember all the specifics of the definition of addiction, but basically it's where you start and you can't stop, and you keep making choices that put you in a negative, making your lifestyle worse, but you do it anyway. So definitely
Yeah.
that was sugar for me. And that place where your stomach hurts so bad, you almost feel like, I think it might split open. It hurts
Yeah.
so bad. I'm afraid I'm going to die here from
Yeah.
that, which while we're talking about that idea of food addiction, does that bother you, that term? Do you feel shame around it? Or for me, when I heard it, I was like, the heavens opened and the angels sang
Exactly.
because I'm like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Now I know what I'm dealing with. I never knew.
Yeah.
I just thought it was willpower. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
I think it was willpower? Because I didn't see anybody else around me doing it. Nobody else was talking about it. So I just thought, you're just a hungry girl that likes her sweets and can't stop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, talk about that if you are comfortable with that term, if you
Yeah.
feel shame from it.
No, it was the most freeing term I had ever heard in my life because it was
Yep.
like an answer to everything I was so confused about. Like, just like you said, that's exactly how I feel. And I never even thought that it would be shameful until I started talking about it on social media. I think it was like the beginning of 2021 when my video started really taking off and I started getting a lot of backlash. And I get it. Like, I get it if you're dealing with mental health struggles and eating disorders, and like some things can be triggering, but that just has not been my experience personally.
Yeah.
I'm a very much like say it as it is, black and white. Like, you're, you can't really hurt my feelings. I mean, you can, but like, I don't expect you to tiptoe around anything for me, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been a really big adjustment for me and having to, be careful with the way that I word things. And, but no, it clicked in that moment. I mean, I remember growing up wishing that I could go to rehab for food, but like never in my mind did it click that it was addiction. I don't know why it never did, but it was so freeing, and it made so much sense in the way that my brain was working and how um yeah, it wasn't a willpower thing. It was a
Mm-hmm.
chemical thing going on in my brain that was causing me to need these things to just feel normal. And yeah, that was a huge aha for me. And I was able to go cold turkey just as you would as an addict. And
Right.
when I was seeing it that way, and when I explain it that way to other people, it's also been so freeing for them. So
Right.
yeah.
I agree. Freedom was, I was just so grateful that there wasn't room for shame because I'm like, well, now not only am I free, I've got a path, I've got
Right.
direction. Because honestly, I don't know about you, but I just would jump from diet to diet to diet to diet,
Yes.
whatever is the next new. And when I say diet, crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
weird, restrictive stuff, and writing down
Yep.
every calorie on pieces of paper all day long. Sometimes I'd pre-chart my calories. I was a psycho about those numbers, and I couldn't figure out why the scale wasn't moving. Like mathematically, it should, the 2.5 pounds a week, that just never happened. And then you get so frustrated, and the whole family's eating pizza, and, on
Yeah.
Friday night before the football game, and just total frustration. You brought up social media, so let's go ahead and talk about that because you do a fabulous job. Your stuff is so on point, and you get some bad backlash. And even your kids do a great job. You've done wonderful with educating them, which I think is so empowering to their little lives and their bodies and their brains. But yet people still take approach to try and be negative when you're doing such a wonderful job at motherhood. You want to talk about all
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Oh man. That's been wild. And that honestly, social media, well, when my videos taking off and going viral and receiving all that backlash is when I had my first like relapse with food. Um,
Mm,
it caused a lot of stress, a lot of, yeah, I mean, it's wild out there what people will say to you. And I just,
yes,
yeah, I remember
mean.
being so stressed and so like questioning everything about what I was doing and saying because everyone was giving me their opinion, and it wasn't, even though there was hundreds of positive opinions about what I was saying, the couple that were like so
Yeah.
like daggers would get me, and I've grown really thick skin since then. But that's when I started like struggling with food again, and it's so ironic that that's how it happened. But yeah, I started, posting my journey, and people didn't like the term food addiction and all of this. There's this whole thing about food shouldn't be a moral topic. And then I have the argument, okay, well then fine, you're right. Food, real food from nature
Totally.
is not a moral
Totally.
topic, but ultra
Yeah.
processed that are not actually food, I'm
Right.
not going to sit here and act like those are okay or acceptable
It's
as
really not
something
food.
for us to consume. Right. So there's always this argument of semantics, and I think it's wild because the food industry has done an incredible job at convincing people that these foods play a role in the American diet, and it's just insane. Because if you ask people overseas, they're like, "Oh wow, like our foods aren't like that." what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, social media has been an interesting journey, but I kept going and I knew that my purpose was important in helping women because like I said, there was so many women who had positive responses and I was able to help so many people because they had never been um what's the word I'm looking for? They had just never heard it. Like they had never heard, oh my gosh, someone else experiences that too. Like someone else hides what they're eating and lies to their husband and like makes their bank account go negative
Yeah.
because they spent so much money on food. Like no one had ever been I cannot think of the word, but um yeah, they had just never heard someone relate to them in that way. So
Yeah.
that's what made me keep going. And knowing that talking about these things and being so raw and vulnerable, even if I'm going to get this crazy backlash, that it's worth it for the one person who sends me a message and tells me that I saved their life because I just had them
Right.
feel seen and heard in what they were experiencing. I think it's why, I mean, I believe when you're in your purpose, everything's going to try to stop you from fulfilling it. I mean, if you're a spiritual person
Yeah.
at all, um, you can see what I'm saying. And yeah, it's been quite the ride. I don't know. There's so many things I could say about it. I don't know if you have specific questions.
No, I admire you, number one, for your tenacity to keep going. So, I post videos, try to do it daily too, with helpful hints. And I'll have people say, like, are you Sheldon's grandma? Get off social media, Granny, and stuff like that. Oh, thank you so much. I'm doing so much hard work to do so much
Yeah,
positivity for the world, and you're taking your time to just try and obliterate me when I'm trying to add goodness to the world. So it's amazing. And I do appreciate your thick skin and that you are willing to keep going because, again, like you said, it's easy to see the negative. Um,
right. Yeah.
it's just there's a famous line in that Julia Roberts movie, um, oh, Pretty Woman, about how she says, "Why do people always see the negative, and it's so hard to see the positive?"
Oh no, you're
Great
frozen. I don't
work,
know.
and I love senior kids and things like that. They like it. Oh,
Sorry, you froze for a minute.
am I back?
Yes, you're back.
So yeah, we're having storms too, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Um, where did I leave off? What was
You
the most important last thing you heard?
you it wasn't very long at all. You said the pretty woman in the quote and why do we always see the
Yeah,
negative? But
I
then you said
think,
something about my kids, I think.
yeah, just that I love how you're teaching them to read labels and
Yes.
getting them involved. But yeah, I
That's the
think in
most
pretty,
recent backlash is my kids.
yes, right? How do you handle that?
That is even harder because as a mom, you're always questioning if you're doing the right thing. And I'm sure most moms can relate to that. So then when you hear from hundreds of people that you're doing the wrong thing, it can really mess with your head because
Right,
I know my come from, and these people see what a 30-second clip of my kid and they just have this whole story as to what
right,
kind of mom I am.
right,
And I know the conversations we have and I know the tone and I know the the whole story, so I get to remind myself of like the intention that I have and why I'm doing it. And I'm not telling her that she shouldn't eat it because she's going to get fat. I'm telling her we don't eat these things because they don't properly nourish our bodies and
right,
we want to feel good. And I think that's where the nuance comes in is like, what's the intention? Because I know so many of us grew up in households where our moms were counting calories and constantly talking
yep,
about fat and all of that. And we have all of these body image issues, and I get
yeah,
it. But I think this generation of moms sees that and doesn't want that, but also sees all the things we struggled with when it comes to food. And it's like, how can we create a healthy relationship with food
right,
and tell them the truth? Like, these foods are designed to make us addicted and sick. Like, I tell my daughter, the food industry literally puts this label on this food to get you to eat it, but then let's read the ingredients. Like, what's in it? What is actually in this? And then let's go look at a different food label. Which one should we choose? Like, what do you think? It's
I love
common
it.
sense, when you break it down. My 8-year-old can understand it, and it's never shame. It's not. you're a bad person if you choose to eat those Fruit Loops. It's eating those Fruit Loops probably isn't what's best for your body. So let's find another really fun food option that's better for your body without all these food dyes and corn syrup and whatever else, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I love that what you said. It's just common sense. And
Yeah.
what you're te doing is teaching. I love that word that you're just teaching them, making them aware, and then helping them make their own food choices. And
Yeah.
your approach makes all the difference in the world. So it sounds like you're doing a
Yeah.
great job with that.
And
Keep doing what you're doing
it's seen as
there.
restriction, but like they don't see all the times when we go out to eat and I say yes to the ice cream, even though I don't want to. And it's like I feel like I have to in this food landscape because I could create an issue later down the road where they were so restricted. So then when they get their own money in their own car, they're going to go crazy. So it's like, I get it, guys, but also at
Mhm.
the same time, they need to know these things. They need to consent to know what they're putting in their body. So, like, sure, you can have this ice cream, but you're probably not going to feel so good after, and you're going to feel a little wild, and then you're going to crave it later again. But, like, everyone else is eating it, so I'm going to let you eat it, but just know what you're signing up for.
That's funny that you talk about that because we've had members in our recovery group that are like, okay, what do I do when my kids want to go to the birthday party? Am I supposed to say no? And then you don't want to create this, you know, strange relationship and
Yeah,
then where they're
hard.
wanting to just go after it on their own later. And so that is a big struggle with parents. I know my grandkids say grandma doesn't eat sugar, so they know I don't. And but I don't say you can't. They just know I don't and my kids try to limit their kids' exposure and
Right.
they just take care of it that way. But I think just the awareness and the education and let them glide into it. But I mean, I think you're right. At birthday parties, saying, no, you can't go there and do that does create a problem, a bigger problem. So
Yeah. They
you've
know
got
my
to,
kids know it as a sometimes food. Like we
yeah.
don't keep those foods in our house, period. Like never. I'm not buying them at the grocery store. It's just not happening. I'm not contributing to the big food industry in that way. But if we're out and it was easier when they were younger, I could say no and give them an alternative and it was fine. But once they got around more kids and in school and there's this whole social thing. And it's like
Right.
I'm not going to make them total outcast. I do in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, but like I had to start saying yes more just because I knew that it
Yeah.
could backfire later.
I agree with that approach so much. Does your husband support you in
Yeah,
pursuing to?
yeah, it's been hard for both of us, but it's absolutely wild how we've been pretty much on the same page the whole time. Like I just feel so
Mhm.
blessed because when women say, "How do you get your partner on board?" I'm like, "Oh man, I cannot
Yeah.
imagine how hard that would be." And honestly, I was the one that had to be gotten on board in the beginning because my husband was ready to start eating healthy and start doing all of these things and I was not.
Nice.
I was still deep in my addiction, so I was the one who was giving him a hard time. So
Yeah.
just never give up on them. Like he just gave me tough love and he kept telling me like I remembered saying I wanted to get back on antidepressants and he didn't say no, but he said, "Can you just give like you know how good you feel when you eat right? So can you just give it
Mhm.
like one last shot?" And then if you still don't feel good, then we can have that conversation. And like some people would say that's controlling and that's not okay. And but for me, like I needed that. That literally saved me because I did it and I've never been back on them. And this it's been 5 years now. So
Yeah,
not,
that's
that's not
crazy. And
medical advice. If you need them,
yeah,
but
well, that does tie into my approach with people too, because if they're coming to me with these problems, and let's just use trauma for an example. Oh, I've had all these traumas, and that's why I can't get off the food, or that's why I'm having all these different issues. A lot of times I'll say, how about we try and get off the food and then see what's really left? Because to pinpoint exactly what our emotional problems are, our mental health problems are, when we've got the processed food in the mix, I just think it's you got greater clarity and can decipher what am I really struggling with when we get the processed food out of your system and you can think more
Yeah.
clearly. There's a saying that I love to work harder on your environment than you do on yourself, and
Mhm.
then you just have a better picture of what the real issues are. So I don't know if you know much about our program, but we have 16 branches of recovery, but the first four are what we call our pillars or our cornerstones, which is a single ingredient food, sleep, movement, and spirituality. And then everything else in your life is branches of recovery. And sometimes we say to people if they're coming in and really struggling, okay, let's don't start with food. Where else would let's just start somewhere, and then when we're ready, we will start leaning into the food. So I don't know if you had some tools or daily practices that supported your recovery in the beginning, or in other words, just where did you start? Did you just start with the food, or were there other areas of your life that you started with first?
I love that you say all that because like when I have hosted some programs too and I've had such similar approaches and I just agree with everything you're saying. Um, so a big one for me is movement and walks. I don't love working out, but when I get out in the morning and go on a walk, like I never ever feel better. Like there's nothing that compares. It makes the whole day
Mhm.
easier. I just feel happy. I feel accomplished because I got up and did
Yeah.
something very first thing in the morning. So that's always been like anytime I feel I'm in a funk, I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't been doing my morning walk. And different seasons of life, cause me to need to make shifts, but that's my biggest thing. I mean, and there's science behind how that helps with reducing binge eating and it helps with so many things. So that's my number one thing personally. Um, Getting morning sunlight is a huge one. You said sleep. I mean, if
Yeah.
we aren't getting good sleep, our decision making skills kind of go out the window. We're not going to be able to
Yeah.
make good choices
Totally.
if we're sleep deprived. Um, for me, scrolling on my phone makes everything so much worse too. Because it steals your dopamine. So then you're just going to be
Oh, yeah.
seeking dopamine anywhere you can get it. And food is a
Mm-hmm.
great one for that.
Mm-hmm.
So gosh, I could go on and on about that. And you're so right. And I have said this so many times in past programs I've hosted is like, honestly, food has such little to do with any of this.
Right.
It's like, how well are you taking care of yourself? Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
taking care of yourself properly, you're not going to have the cravings. You're not going to want to binge. You're, it's not going to be that big of an issue. So I totally agree with that. And I also agree that for me, when you said, how did it start for me? And I didn't even answer that. I did start with just food, but it took about a week of doing the whole cold turkey thing where I just cut out everything for a week. And I wanted to go move my body. I wanted to do that
Yeah.
stuff because, like you said, I just felt so good. I felt alive. I felt like I wanted
Yes.
to take care of myself. How could I not?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
agree with that as well.
It's
If you
got,
just get someone to like cut it out for a week and they feel how good they feel, then
yeah.
there's so much you can do with that.
And haven't you learned that it's got to be the holistic approach? You can't just, otherwise it's a diet, it becomes a diet mentality, right? That, okay,
Oh
this is
yeah.
just another
It's a
diet.
lifestyle. It's
It
absolutely a
has to
lifestyle.
be.
It has to be who you are. You have to be the person people know you as the person who is healthy and eats clean and takes care of themselves and moves their body and prioritizes sleep. And it has to be because
Yeah.
we are tribal beings. So like we do what the people we surround ourselves with do. We are easily influenced. So if you are trying to live the life you used to and hang out with the people you used to and do the things you used to, you're not going to be able to stick to it. And that's the same with any addiction. We hear that all the
Yeah.
time. Like you might need to move out of your town and like totally transform your whole entire life because that's just how we're wired. So, yes.
I was working with someone who was a waitress once, and she said, I don't know why, I just cannot stop binging.
Yeah.
Honey, you're gonna have to get a different job.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get a different job. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to say it, but just having that in your face all the time. I mean, who's going to be successful?
Oh, my husband has been a bartender for a very long time and he has struggled with alcohol. And it's like you can't expect like if he would, go to work and bartend and come home and he had drink. It's like I can't even expect you not to want to drink when you're there. Like we just have to get you out of there. And that can really mess with your mind too, because you're like, I don't even want to be doing this. But
Mhm.
your system just kind of takes over and it's just like muscle memory and it's the environment and it's yeah, you have to do a total overhaul of your life. You really do.
And, dopamine, we talked about that for just a split second. Dopamine has memory too. So it
Mhm.
knows what it needs to do to get you back to the place where you're most susceptible,
Yes,
right? And speaking of dopamine, when we're talking about looking at your life in this holistic pattern, all those other little things that we were talking about, the sleep, the movement, the spirituality, and then we have, like I said, another dozen branches of stress
hmm,
management and service to others and education and
yeah,
values and things like that. They're all dopamine giving, but in this gentle, loving, supportive way. And if you're nourishing your brain throughout a typical day of doing all these wonderful life enhancing things, then your brain is not going to be seeking that hit like it otherwise would have. So
exactly.
that's just the answer as far as holistic approach when it comes to recovery. It just has to be that way. So let's
Absolutely.
let's talk about cravings for a minute. Those pesky little cravings that keep us stuck sometimes in
Yeah.
our cycles. Sometimes that can be the hardest to navigate when you're in recovery. They're pesky but powerful. So, do you have any specific, whether it be mindset practices or any other practices to deal with when those cravings come up or emotional eating temptations come up? How do you pull out of that? How would you help somebody who's stuck in that craving cycle?
Yes, my number one suggestion, and this isn't some magic pill that everyone wants, but it's you have to be eating enough like
Ah,
during the day, and it might even be within a couple days. Like if you aren't eating the right nutrients, getting the right minerals and vitamins, and getting enough of that, you are going to be craving because it's your body is biologically saying we are deficient. We need these vitamins and minerals. And you're not going to crave a strawberry. You're going to crave quick energy. You're going to crave the chips and you're going to crave the crackers and the soda and whatever that is because your body is genuinely depleted. And that is hard for us to like it's really hard for me to wrap my head around because in the past in order for me to deal with cravings I would just force myself to not eat, right? And it's like
mhm,
it's so hard to break free from that because oh, I actually need to be eating, I need to be eating more of the right things so that I'm not
mhm,
having these cravings. And it's an interesting journey. So that's like the foundation of it for me of like when I'm eating enough, especially protein and the right foods, I have
mhm.
way less cravings. um and then the other piece of it is if I say I've eaten enough today, or like it's the end of the day and I know I haven't eaten enough and I'm having cravings and whatever that looks like, I find an alternative to what I'm craving. So like if I am the queen of alternatives. So like tell me what food you're craving, tell me what you're addicted to. I will find you a good alternative to that food
Oh, I
because
love
they're out
that.
there. And that
Mhm.
makes it fun for me to like come up
Right.
with fun things that are good. Like some people don't like stevia. Stevia's like, I like stevia because if I'm craving something sweet, I'll add a little stevia and I feel so much better. And I know that it's not messing me up like sugar or other high sugar things. But it could be monk fruit. It could be just, I mean, when you remove those things from your life for so long, fruit tastes like a treat, like
I
grapes.
agree.
Like to me, like grapes are like candy or like
I
dates
agree. I
or,
agree.
something like that. So
Mhm.
setting the foundation of eating enough and then finding alternatives to your favorites. But also, like you said, if it's an emotional thing, like if I'm stressed, I always crave potato chips when I'm stressed. And it's like bad. honestly. And I know it's because now I know it's because I have a really bad potassium deficiency, potassium and sodium. So it makes sense that I crave potato chips. And when you know those
Mm-hmm.
things, you can actually do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But when that happens, I'll just sit with myself for a moment and I'll either like text a friend saying, I really want to eat these right
Right.
now, or I will pray. That's been
I
huge for
love
me,
that.
prayer. And, or if I'm like, oh, I just need something, I will get something else that's crunchy and salty. Like maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a little bit of clean popcorn or some nuts or a rice cake. I don't know. Something
Yeah.
might work in that moment.
Yeah, and I like to ask people, especially after dinner, nighttime, that's like the worst for people.
Yep.
And I always like to turn it back to them and say, what is it you're really needing? If food
Yeah.
weren't an option in the universe, what is, what do you really need right now? The answer is always comfort, FYI. So
Yeah.
what does that comfort look like that your body is needing? And I also love what you said about saying a prayer because that's a very underutilized tool in this arena. Not just saying a prayer for you, but for everyone in the universe that is having a craving at that moment. I'm going to pray for universally all those who are suffering right now. There's something about taking yourself out of
Yes.
self and what can I do for the greater good, because one of our branches of recovery is purpose. So
Mhm.
if you're fulfilling this great, wonderful purpose of I've got my superpowers I'm going to put on and I'm going to change things in a big way, that really it changes your chemistry on a cellular level,
I
I
love
think.
that. I love that. And that's wild to think about because so many people have cravings after dinner. So it's like there's this
Yeah,
huge collective craving
you can
happening.
yeah,
And
that's
I
right. You can
believe in
almost
energy and like all of that. So that is wild.
yeah, you can almost put it on the calendar.
Yeah. Oh my
And when
goodness.
people tell me that's happening every night and I'm having to fight it every night, fantastic. That's excellent information. You have the other team's playbook right in your hands, and if you know what's coming, woohoo!
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So what are we going to do to prepare? Oh shoot! Am I paused again?
No, you're back.
Oh, good.
It's
Uh,
working.
yeah, yeah. If you know it's coming, then that's
Yeah.
information that makes you even more powerful. So
Yeah. And
change your
I'm
mind
telling you,
shift.
like, eat a heavy protein breakfast and a heavy protein lunch and a heavy protein dinner. I promise the cravings will get way less.
Manageable, right? Manageable.
And at some point it's like a habit. Like after you eat dinner, it's just like
Mhm.
this immediate crave. I mean, even my kids want something sweet after dinner. It's just I guess it's biological at this point. I don't
Yeah.
know. But it is interesting of like there's so many ways to approach it. But yeah, the way that you just said that is so new to me. I love that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was able to share something with you. And, leading in on this same topic is we are in society, food is everywhere all the time. I don't care if you're going to Disneyland or a birthday party or it's just a Tuesday. Everywhere you turn, it's in your face. And I don't know how you help people that say, okay, I'm going on vacation. The food's going to be everywhere. I'm going to a holiday party. I'm anxious about what my relatives are going to try and push on me, but Aunt Betty's going to bring her famous XYZ. But unfortunately, we don't live in a bubble. So we do have to be realistic about the things that are out of our control. And so we can't always control our environment. So, how do you help people that talk about I'm getting ready to go to blah, 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 and food is going to be everywhere? And some of my favorites, and like I said, dopamine has memory. So I remember how Aunt Betty's XYZ tastes, and that's going to be difficult to see that. Talk about that.
That is, I've on this journey of like, what is it for me? Am I just gonna be a no all the time and just always be a no and live life that way? And I've done it both ways, where it's like I'm strict, I'm not doing it, I don't eat that stuff, period. That's not me. And honestly, that works pretty dang well, to be honest.
District.
Yeah. But then
Yeah,
I've done
me
it
too.
the other way where it's like, okay, I'm going to be strict most of the time, but if I go on vacation, I'm going to enjoy myself. But then am I really enjoying myself? Because I didn't binge, but I ate this meal and I felt like crap after. So, like, what, I think it's personal. Like, what is your intention? What's your goal? What is your overall, like, life's mission? Like, how do you want to feel? Do you want
Yes,
to say, whatever, I've been doing so good, I'm just going to eat this thing? Like, no shame, no guilt. I'm just going to have it. That's fine. But, like, was it worth it? Because if you felt like crap after it.
I know. I
So
hate that
ask
feeling.
yourself those questions of like, how do I want to feel? Because I know I'm going to feel really good if I say no and I nourish myself with some, like you can go to a restaurant and get a salad with high protein and a side of vegetables. Like you can do
Mhm.
that pretty much anywhere you go. Your brain's going to be screaming at you that you want the burger and the fries, but like think long term. I think that's
Future self.
that's for us is like, how do you want to feel the rest of the day instead of
Yep.
that quick dopamine that burger and fries is going to give you right now? And when it comes to friends and family, like I've grown thick skin in that way too, where it's like you just have to say,
Mhm.
no, I'm not
Mhm.
having it. I love you. Thank you. I'm not eating that. And that's
Mhm.
period. I've read so many books about addiction. And I think Dopamine Nation is the one that's standing out to me right now. But instead of
Oh,
saying,
yes.
no, thanks, I'm trying not to eat that, it's like, no, I do not eat that, period. Like,
Mhm.
I think the example was with cigarettes. Like, no, I'm trying to quit. Instead, you say, no, I'm not a smoker. So, not,
Yes.
no, I can't have
Identity.
sugar. No, I don't eat sugar.
Mhm. It's an identity shift. We work a lot with people around identity shift,
Yeah.
where your beliefs set up your habits and your habits set up your identity, and
Yeah,
you just become, this is just who I am now. And so there's a
exactly.
strong identity shift of I'm just not a person who eats sugar. It's not like I'm just trying to stay off sugar as hard as I can. And I
Right.
love
Because then they're
that.
going to say, oh, it's okay. You can have some. You've been doing so
Mhm.
good. And it's,
Mhm.
yeah, you
And
open
I
up that door for negotiation.
That's it. And that's so one of the things that we know is when you open the door of negotiations, it actually, the perceived level of cravings actually gets stronger versus someone who has non-negotiables. It
Yeah.
actually makes the cravings be quiet. So it's interesting that they travel together. There's a correlation between your wobbles and the deepness of the craving. And I'm glad you brought up that point about some people do find that total restriction is not possible for me. I get that. We're all wired different. For me, I have some non-negotiables, and sugar
Yeah.
is one of my non-negotiables, but I'm a very active person. And if I know I'm going to go, like I went and climbed the, not, well, yeah, climbed the Grand Canyon last year, and afterwards the group went out for pizza. I mean, I was hiking for 12 hours. And I knew I can have pizza because that's not my drug of choice. And
Right.
the next day I'm going to get right back on because I want to feel good. So staying in that future self mindset is monumental in success. So there's some people that say, "Oh, I can have, a brownie or a cookie every once in a while and I'm fine." Good for you. For me, that's so dangerous and I work so freaking hard to get away from that. I can't go back. That scares me. So I know
Right.
how where I can push and I can't. So part of the things that I tell people I work with is you've got to know thy triggers.
Yeah.
Mm.
And sometimes it takes like experiencing it to know, right?
Yes,
Like for
that's
me,
right.
it's been 5 years of journeying through like what works and what doesn't. And
Yeah.
yeah, I have my non-negotiables too. Like I will never drink a soda ever again. I
Mhm.
will never eat. I mean, we eat fast food on the rare occasion of like I said, if
Mhm.
we're on a road trip or something, but I will
Mhm.
never just go pick up fast food for dinner ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and but one of the biggest things for me is it's not even that I will genuinely want to eat those foods after I've eaten them, but my brain just tells me I want them. It's like I can tell the difference now of like,
Yeah.
I know I don't want to eat any more of that, but like my brain is craving it.
That's right.
And that is a biological thing that happens
That's
between
right.
your gut and your brain of like, if you
Yeah,
feed your body the sugar, your gut is going to tell your brain that it wants more of the sugar. Like you just
that's right.
cannot get past that. It's
Yeah.
biological.
Yeah. Yeah. I told you, Jamie and I just released our book on Amazon, and there is, when you eat processed food, it cuts off the gut brain communication. No, so I say I measure it by if I swallow and the reaction is felt upstairs instead of in my gut, then I know that's not a food for me because the
Yeah,
brain's then going to say, you got to get more. I don't care if you have to eat a donut out of the trash. You need to do, your life depends on it. You've got to
right.
get more.
Yeah.
So I love that point. Well,
Yeah,
we
you're
need
being
to wrap.
hijacked essentially.
Yes, that's exactly right. So I'm going to end with one quick last question before we end, and that is, what do you wish you had known on day one when you got started?
Oh, well, I wish I would have known that I wasn't going to be invincible and that it wasn't always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I think what I've heard of when people are getting clean off of other substances, they have this, I can't remember if they call it pink clouds or pink skies, where it's like,
Yeah.
do you know what I'm talking about? A couple weeks where
Mhm.
you just feel like on top of the
Yeah.
world and
Hmm.
I'm like the
Hmm.
best and I've got this.
Uh-huh. I've
I'm
got
never
this.
going back. Like that's just, I mean, maybe I didn't need to know that because it
Hmm.
was working, you know, but life is going to happen and like you're going to have stress and you're going to have life events that stress you out. And I mean, we cannot avoid that, like big
Right.
life events. So I think just being prepared for knowing how to handle those moments instead of just thinking, I've got this, I'm never going back. But then when something crazy happens and then you do maybe relapse or something, just being
Hmm.
prepared that life happens. And
Yeah.
one thing I really want to say is like having a community is so
Huge.
important. And I love that you have that for people because the world is not set up for us. It's
Right.
not. So
Oh,
you
I,
have to
beautiful.
have a community of people who are doing what you're doing and are living life how you are so that you don't feel alone and isolated and you have somewhere to go. I honestly don't really have that right now and I wish
Come
I
join
did.
us.
I know. Um, it's so important. So I would
Yeah.
say that just know you're not invincible and life's going to happen and you need a plan and you need a
Yes.
community.
Beautiful. And I love that. Vera Tarman said the number one thing is you need support because you can't do it on your own. If you could, you would have by now.
Right. And
So
it sounds so
anyway,
cheesy, but it's true. And that there's
yeah,
science behind that too.
I agree. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate you joining us. I hope you'll come back again sometime. This has been a wonderful conversation. And big thanks to Braci. You can follow her on social media at where?
Bracy, Bracy, Braci, Bracy Lane Wellness.
Okay.
And then Bracy, or that's on TikTok and Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's just Bracy and then my last name Dutton, Dutton.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And if you want to know more about us, you can find us at realfoodrecoveryforyou.com. That's the number 4 and the letter U. Thanks, so guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.